You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, now, Don, have we got some things to talk about today? We've got...
No, don't use the plural we. I.
Well,
I've got nothing to talk about.
Well, for a start, let's just... this is not the start, but people often ask me, I was down in Tasmania on the weekend speaking at Smithton, and did we have some listeners down there? Took a photograph of... I'll give them some shout-outs later, but they said, what is Don like? I said, well, see if I can show you what he comes to the podcast wearing, and you can decide yourself what you think is going on in his brain. So here, this is Don here. Look, we've got a very expensive cameraman. Sit back. Let's stand up. Let people can see what you're wearing. Stand up, Don,
is that
please.
A camera?
Yeah, that's a camera. Stand up. It's a phone camera. Stand up, please, so people can see just what a eccentric, out-of-touch man you are. You got a little... Did your mother knit that jumper for you, or that cardigan?
A woolen cardigan.
Yeah, that's... and you got...
And it was very cold as I took off
got
this morning.
Look at you. Got a rainbow
scarf at yourself.
on.
Talk about eccentricity.
You got an Akubra hat.
No, it's not. It's a Brixton.
With Williams boots and a Akubra hat. Anyhow, that's
and
what
I just got the brow band fixed up at Smart Alec in Gertrude. Have you been to Gertrude Street, Fitzroy?
Yeah, I have. We went to... We've been to Gertrude Street. We went to a blokes... We went to the...
You use that
We
term.
went to the editor of the Sunday Age as a birthday party there.
And who's we?
Boyfriend. Him and his... I'm not sure he's married to Max, but he's his boyfriend. We went to a... anyhow, Don, this is what we've got to speak about today. We've got... we'll speak about the World Cup. We'll speak about... we've got...
Any other topics you've got?
Yes, plenty. We've got...
Can I ask you one?
Do you know KPMG? KPMG, do you know who they are? They advertise on our platform.
Accounting firm.
And you know how we push back, and we are absolutely correct on climate change and the bullshit that's going on with that. The amount of people pushing back on the nonsense that is climate change is extraordinary. And during the podcast, we don't insert these ads, but Podbean or someone does on our behalf. They advertise climate change and say you've got to not cook with gas. Can you believe?
Hang on, what's that got to do with PW, whatever it is?
KPMG. Because they advertise climate change on our podcast.
Hang on, they're an accounting firm.
Yes, KPMG.
And they're into climate change. What would they know about it?
Because they're a woke company that thinks the planet will be saved if you invest or use the services of KPMG.
Are they
and aren't we
qualified?
woke and we're trying to save the planet, and they are absolutely, completely, disgracefully out of touch with what's going on. Climate change is not affected by anything that we do.
Can I bring up something more relevant?
Just a minute.
No.
Go ahead.
Last week, we had an unexpected guest. You're very good at getting guests a little bit.
It wasn't unexpected. I spoke to him.
Frank Howson is not a household name. In the industry, he is.
Yes, Don.
Okay. Now,
will
you just shut up?
No,
shut up. He gave us a gift each.
Was Miss Nude World a household name when we got her in here?
Miss who?
Miss Nude World.
What's that got to do with Frank Howson?
Well, she wasn't a household name, but we got her in here.
Well, she was. Everybody knows Miss, don't they? Miss Nude World.
What's her name?
I don't know.
There you are. I rest my case. Go ahead. Come on, stupid. Mr.
Look at yourself in the mirror.
I'm stupid too, because I'm sitting here with him. Go on.
Anyway, he gave us gifts. The book I found a bit heavy to read because I suffer from dyslexia and
dyslexia.
Shut up!
Did you get that?
Shut up!
What an oxymoron! I suffer from dyslexia.
Shut up!
And he couldn't even pronounce the word right because he's got dyslexia.
Hang on. Anyway, what he did appeal to me. He also gave us a CD. And it's called The Songs of Frank Howson.
Yes.
I used to be an outlaw. It's a picture of him sitting with his... Remember those cap guns when we were small kids?
Don.
We had these cap guns.
Don,
He's sitting there with his cowboy hat, his cap gun in St Kilda where he used to live. He was born. And I have not had this... I've played this every time I get into my car for the week. And they are sensational songs. The interesting thing is he's written them. He's got different artists recording them. There are 19 songs. What do you mean?
Well, Don, we spoke to Frank, the great Frank Howson, last week.
You didn't give a review on his CD. I'm recommending.
All you got to do is say, I've listened to the songs, they're great. You're going to go right through what we spoke about Frank with last week. You asked him who wrote all these songs. You did it last week,
He
Don.
wrote them
We're
in
trying to do this
collaboration.
week's podcast.
Well, I'm recommending people go out. This was a total unexpected surprise and a great surprise. And
total unexpected surprise
total and
is
unexpected.
tautology, Don.
So
it's just unexpected.
Shut up. If you're interested or you want to give something a go, you can email frankhowson1@gmail.com. frankhowson1 and ask him, or maybe he'll send it out to you.
Yes.
I Used to Be an Outlaw is the name of the CD. Very easy listening. Have you listened to it?
Yes.
Well, why don't you give a review?
Well, because you've beaten me to it. I was going to say, Frank was in last week and his CD is fantastic. That's all we had to say. Yeah, Don, put it down.
No, but you don't deliver with any sincerity.
Could we give just an early shout out to the Herald Sun?
Why?
Because they've promoted this podcast.
What do you mean?
They promoted a podcast by saying a little dribbler, I don't know, his name's Jared. Little dribbler, I was on the radio.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you what I'm talking about. A little feckless dribbler has started a petition to have this podcast cancelled. And he's
Why
amassed...
is he doing that?
Because he didn't agree that I could have an opinion, not necessarily your opinion, Don, but he didn't agree that I could have an opinion about why we shouldn't vote for The Voice, why the Welcome to Country is spurious, why all the things that we speak about, the reparations and the nonsense that goes on with The Voice.
Did he put his name to the article?
No. The Herald Sun gave us publicity by saying this little man...
Okay, did he put his name to the article, Frank or whatever his name is?
His name's... Listen to me. I'm giving a shout-out to the Herald Sun for saying that we are about to have a petition signed by people that Jared, this little man Jared, has got organised, and the Sun gave us publicity, because seeing as they get most of their stories from us anyhow... Hey?
How do you know it's Jared?
Because Tom Elliott on 3AW, which is a station here in Melbourne, Australia, if you're listening on the other side of the planet, you might have been listening to 3AW because the World Cup Women's Soccer final was on Monday.
Come on, what has that got to do with the article? You're going everywhere.
Because Tom Elliott got me on after Jared was on the radio.
Oh, so he had a three-way interview.
No, they got him off the line and then they said, what do you think of what Jared said? And I said, well, he pushed back on the fact that I didn't like the Welcome to Country. I said it's a complete irrelevancy. It has just gone over the top.
Okay, what else?
Righto. Right. So, and he said he took issue that Indigenous people weren't the first people on this land.
You went off a bit there.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I did not. I said...
You tend to go off a bit.
No, Don. I said, do you think I make this stuff up?
No, you don't make it up. You tend to go off
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about what I said to Tom Elliott. I said, Tom Elliott said, what about the first inhabitants? I said, do you think I make this stuff up? We've had Indigenous historians and historians per se who have said... While they were the inhabitants before settlement, there were people here before the Indigenous people. That's all. I said, do you think I make that up? That is historically factual. And this man said, well, on the basis of that, we shouldn't be allowed to do this podcast, and we should be... And I'm just thanking the Herald Sun. What they did is they illuminated the fact that Jared had said this, little Jared, and... All they're doing is advertising our podcast.
Can we assume that Jared is kind of left-wing woke?
We could assume Jared is trying to be virtuous by getting his name in the paper.
The interesting thing is, with Jared, isn't he stifling freedom of speech?
Don, that's...
No, but hang on, there's a bigger issue here. If you don't agree with those people, so-called left or right, you're cancelled, that's putting down freedom of speech.
You are spot on, Don. This is the point of what I'm saying, that I have an opinion and I stand by every single thing I've said about that matter, and he wants to cancel the fact that he doesn't agree with me and cancelling my right to have an opinion. And this is what happens. And if you don't agree
so
with
what
it,
can
he's
he
now
do?
asked for us to be cancelled.
So hang on. So what's he going to do with the petition? Who's he going to present that to?
Do you know what he's going to do? He's going to pretend he's got a whole lot of signatures, ramp it up and show it to someone, and they're saying, oh, we should be cancelled. I tell you what.
Who's going to cancel
I reckon we could get 100 people agreeing with us to his one person who disagrees on the petition. We'll have 1 million people agree with us, and he might have 10,000 who disagree with us.
We don't have anybody advertising.
Anyhow,
you'd be writing to them.
All I'm
putting
doing
the pressure
is
on them.
thanking the Herald Sun for promoting our podcast. That's all they did. And Tom Elliott, who's a great operator, and so
what?
is his
Because
wife.
he agrees with you.
No, he didn't agree with me. Well, he doesn't agree with The Voice, but he just got two different opinions on, which is what the basis of free speech is, having a sort of respectful disagreement with someone who has a different opinion to you. So that's all I'm saying about that. Wait till we get on to the World Cup soccer final about the nonsense that went on prior to the game. And I'll tell you why it was nonsense, but we won't do that now,
I did turn it
Don.
off, actually.
We won't. You turned it off. Of course you did, because you've been browbeaten enough
I think
by this bullshit.
we could have it. You're welcome once, and I think it's terrific for important. You either have it at the final, but boy, every game, please.
So Don, I was over in. I'm just doing this now, and you can chip in, Don. I was doing this now. I was over in northwest Tasmania at a place called Smithton.
You said that.
I said,
and you're going to give shout-outs.
I said that off air to you.
No, you didn't. You said it on air.
Did I? I believe I didn't. But anyhow, I'm saying it again, if that's the case for the third time.
You know, when you were giving me the shoes, you said it then, and I've got a bag of your old shoes. What am I going to do with them? Recycle them?
Oh, no, try and wear them as gloves. See if they fit on your feet, Don, you can use them. So people, this is what, at Smithton, they said, is Don fair dinkum? They said, is he fair dinkum? And I said, let me tell you about Don. So I'm standing up speaking at Smithton, and I look out over the vast audience, and there's a man, I noticed a red cap he had wearing in the hall, and I said...
So Donald Trump, Make America Beautiful.
Could have been that. Make America Great Again.
Great Again,
MAGA,
or whatever it
that's
is.
MAGA hat, Don. MAGA, M-A-G-A, an acronym. Like Mr. Joyce's, what about Mr. Joyce?
Hang on. Tell us about Smithton. I don't want to go to Mr. Joyce or Trump or anyone else.
Well, I got on Mr. Joyce. I don't know which Mr. Joyce, but one
don't
of the Mr.
worry
Joyces.
about Mr.
I got on his plane. It's got, yes, on the side of the
that plane would just be about its last legs too. I wouldn't be jumping on any plane. He's built it up to a profit. Now they go and buy new planes when he resigns. The company will go down the gurgler. And he's got his $20 million bonus for making it profitable.
Anyhow,
by using all these things stuck together with rubber bands.
Don't say the planes are stuck together with rubber bands, Don, because, people will... Anyhow, they're going to drive people onto Virgin if he keeps painting yes on the side of his planes, to be told by an Irish immigrant who came over...
Hang on.
Hang on a minute. No, Mr. Joyce. I wonder if Mr. Joyce, when he oversaw the... Ansett, when he was working for them, the ill-fated Ansett, why didn't he paint orange or green on the side of the Ansett planes? Because he might have an opinion about the IRA or the Royalists.
Society's changed since he was at Ansett.
Yeah, I tell you, Ansett's changed because they've gone out of business.
This country has been blessed by the immigrants. I was thinking that the other day
absolutely.
when I was making my stew.
Which is the... What, Don?
I knew that would pull you up.
The Irish stew.
No, English stew.
Irish
and I
stew.
added...
That's what they've given us. They've given us all this eclectic
range.
range.
We grew up eating this stuff, which is pretty bland. And
like
it was,
your good self, Don.
Yes,
that's what's
and I spiced it up
bland.
by putting a bit of tomato and whatever else in the English stew, and what a beautiful taste. So there's the Italian influence.
So you're giving Kate Save the flick, have you?
No, I had one of her meals.
One.
On the weekend.
We'll get on to Kate Save in a minute, because we are shareholders in the company.
That.
Now, Don, so the Smithton boy,
yes.
he had the
boy.
cap on. And
Man.
Don't
be condescending. Boy. patronising.
Well, there was a lot of boys there because it was the best and fairest count for the under-12s, the under-16s, which I sat through for 3.5 hours before I got up, and then the seniors and the reserves, and it was a very good function. And I'll tell you what, I've been to a function, I've been to a lot of functions, I've never been to a function where they say grace before the meal.
Really?
And I
used to say grace before every meal growing up.
Did you, Don?
Grandmother
this was down
religious.
at Smith. Have you ever been to a function at like a sports night and they say grace before the meal? Well, I appreciated and I admired that.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what first prize in the raffle was? You wouldn't know. It was half a beast. It was half a bullock.
That's good.
I know. You go to functions up here and it's a car or a slab or a, dinner or a trip up to the wine country. Half a beast it was.
Did you go in the raffle?
I was going to say I was going to go in it, and I thought
you could have bought it back, and I could have cut it up for stew.
I was trying to think where I would put. Would I check the half beast into the luggage, or would I put it in the overhead rack?
Put it in your
Wouldn't fit in
overnight
the
bag.
overhead rack.
You could prop it up next to you.
It's huge. It was as big as a truck.
Okay, it's a comfort animal. You could have said as you got on the plane.
It was dead, Don.
Doesn't matter. You're still comforted.
Anyhow, so the man had their cap on, and I said, "Did you get it from?" And he said, "I got it from michaelchristianmenswear.com. Up your bum." He said, "Up your bum."
No, he would have wandered down to Launceston from Smithton, probably walked, and picked up a freebie.
No, he did not. He did what everyone else does, Don. Incidentally, I have...
what have you got on?
Well, Mick Christian, he actually tore me a new one.
He
Tore me a new one.
Tore you a new one?
Yes, that's, tore me a new asshole, Don. That's just a generic phrase. He tore me a new one, meaning he chastised me. He said, I noticed you in the podcast last week, you were wearing the knit with the collar. He said, we've had a lot of inquiries for sales. He said, we don't make them. This was a one-off I gave you. We only make the ones with the T-shirts without the collar.
Well, I like those better.
I don't care what you like, Don. Mick hasn't got any. He made the ones with the T-shirt, and now he's been inundated for people. He said, so don't advertise it again. He said, so we've got...
Don't advertise what? The shirt?
Don't advertise the ones with the collar. What's fucking wrong with him? Just advertise the ones with the. So I said to them down in Tasmania, they said, "What's Don like?" I said, Don. It's hard to explain what Don's like. He is a walking moron. He is an absolute imbecile, and I'm happy to say I am too because we work together. They couldn't believe that you were operating without a brain, Don. You're a medical marvel. So anyhow, so we've spoken to Jared, and I said to 3AW, I said to the producer, Jimmy, I said, ask Jared, Now
hang on, what are we back to now?
I said, ask Jared who canvassed for us to be cancelled, this podcast.
Yes.
Ask Jared if he'd like to come on and discuss what we said. And Jared apparently got back to him and said, well, this is being caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. He said, well, it'd be a bit hypocritical. It'd be a bit hypocritical if I came on the podcast after I was suggesting that it be cancelled.
Why?
So why would that be hypocritical?
Why couldn't Jared come on?
Do you listening to what I'm saying? Jesus,
I'm not,
Christ.
because bloody Ivan's just walked in.
You just said, have a look. This is Ivan.
He's dyed his hair.
This is Ivan.
Sue. He'll be inundated when he walks through the lounge at the airport.
Ivan, get over there, mate. Can't you see I'm using this microphone? You're on...
Fuck, Ivan, don't... Jeez, you're throwing everything everywhere.
So Don, you just said, why wouldn't Jared come on? And I just told you why he wouldn't come on. He said it would be a bit hypocritical for him to come on the podcast if he's canvassing and getting signatures for it to be cancelled.
We could ask him his views.
Of course we could, but he won't come on because he said, can't you understand? It would be, if he's asking for us to be cancelled, why would he come on? He
can put his case forward.
Oh, jeez.
Don't blaspheme. Do not blaspheme.
So I'm going to ask you this again, Don. Do you think it would be ridiculous for someone to come on if they're advertising us to be advocating for us to be cancelled, yet they'll come on the podcast to discuss it. I thought it would be a good opportunity, but Jared obviously has scampered away into the little hole he's popped his head out of, and he's not coming on. So, now Ivan, pull the microphone up to you for God's sake, man.
There we go.
Now listen, I'd just like to say, I watched.
Oh, well, good. We were just asking. Ivan has snatched it over in the mines. He's back. He's retired.
Yep, all done. All done and dusted. Can't get a flight back to Perth.
And have you been recognised at the airport again and everywhere?
No, no, not yet. No. When was the last time? Josh. I think there was someone named Josh over there in Perth. So shout out to him.
No, shut up, Ivan.
Now listen, I watched the...
just before...
No, hang on. Something relevant. I just watched the World Cup. I thought it was fantastic. But with the AFL football and the World Cup soccer, please tell me why they warm up before the game, an hour before the game, then disappear, and then come out and actually play the game. Would they get cold waiting around for the entree onto the ground?
The entree? The pre-game entertainment, Don, I think is what you're alluding to. It's a very good point, Don.
Now, again, I just go back to the theatre of the event. I believe they all should come out and present it as one. You can get warm in 5 to 10 minutes.
And how long have we been saying this?
I just think it just devalues the spectacle to see them out there just going through the motion.
Do you know where you got that from?
Where?
Me.
Bullshit.
I've said that for years. I have said that for years, that if you want to devalue the presence of a side running onto the ground, have them go out and warm up on the ground, so that when the fans see them straggling out there and kicking and bumping one another, the theatre of it is gone.
Exactly.
The first time you see your players is when they run onto the ground and take their positions. And why the umpires go out there and jog around and do splits and wave to the crowd and practice bouncing the ball. The AFL, if they...
But it's happening at World... Why they picked it up in the soccer?
Because they're numbskulls.
But they did it prior to the World Cup final.
Because no one has any idea how to present sport.
Exactly.
Don. And if the AFL concentrated on more getting the match review and the goal review...
Don't worry about that.
If they concentrated on getting the game right rather than ramming down our throat what their political bent should be about everything else that they advertise, it would be better. Something
more relevant. Tell me, why have they got the goal square in AFL?
But that's just another point, Don. It's another. They might as well just point a.
Why? Why is it still on the ground?
Because, Don, you know exactly
Tradition?
why. Because, but Ivan, Don makes a good point. You might as well paint a dotted line across where the goal man can't. Where the
no. He can do anything. He can run wherever he likes, Johnny.
I know, Don. I'm trying to explain that if they tidied up the procedure of how the game's played and how you judge whether balls have hit posts or not, instead of worrying about all the peripheral bullshit that the hierarchy and the man in the top office goes on with, the game would be far better off, Don. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know why they have a goal square there.
Do you think
maybe it's because if someone takes a mark, they can say that you can... I don't know why they do it.
Do you think because they change the rules all the time, every year, they implement some, then they don't implement them all, and that's just what happens.
So why have the goal square? Just blot it out, just paint green over it, and just don't have it.
I watched Daniel Andrews' explanation over the weekend, his press conference, with regard to the payout for the Commonwealth Games, and he said it's 380 million. It'd have to be a lot more than 380 million this state's up for, because that'd be 380 million, because when I look at this man now, I've got to analyse everything he says, because he only gives a half-truth, and he's very patronising. I would say that 380 million would be the fine to the Commonwealth Game organisers. What about all the money that has gone out, because a number of people have been employed for well over 12 months on this project, and
I think the costs be a lot more than 380 million.
Don't beat round the bush, Don.
What?
The Andrews government are doing what they've done to this public for 4 years. They are lying. They are lying, untrustworthy and corrupt.
No, but hang on. Why would they spend or set up an infrastructure behind if they were lying?
Because they're incompetent and they're trying
Why didn't they do, and this is the other thing that came up in the press conference, he mentioned consultants. He said the bureaucrats and consultants, like giving credibility to the fact of them going on with the Commonwealth Games. Why aren't the bureaucrats competent enough or qualified enough to make a decision?
If you want to see how untrustworthy and deceitful the Andrews government is in this state, have a look at what they did to this state during COVID. Have a look at the fact...
Going back over old ground here.
Oh, Don, you went back over old ground when you told us about Frank Howson for 15 minutes before we started. We did that last week. I'm telling you, if you want to see how corrupt they are, they drove this state into the ground, the Andrews government. They told us not to cook with gas. Can you believe when, in 20 years, when you look back on this and someone said, oh, you can't cook with gas, as if that is going to save the planet? They are absolutely bereft of it. They are just megalomaniacs trying to tell you how do you live your life. And that's another great example you've given, Don, about the Commonwealth Games and what it's cost us. They are patent and unmitigated liars, and you know this.
Now, the other thing which is creeping up on us are wind farms. The number of wind farms, I've spoken to a number of people who've driven into the country recently over the past few weeks, and these wind farms are springing up. I went to Warrnambool last year, and on the right-hand side, as you're coming into Colac in the hills, these things seem to grow out of the ground. They weren't there 12 months or 2 years ago, but they seem to be mushrooming. I wonder, now, I've never heard one pushback from the Greens as to whether these things going in, they're upsetting the flora or fauna.
They're making whales. They're making whales in the ocean go offline with the.
But hang on, what about the bird? What about the birds flying around the skies?
Yes, they do fly around the skies.
When they first came out down in the Western District, there was a huge furor about the fact that people were getting sick because these things were near them and was causing a disturbance, and they were sick. We don't hear anything more about the ailments that these people are getting. The other thing is, why haven't the Indigenous people pushed back on these things being planted right around Victoria? Don't tell me they're put there strategically. They're just put there where they think the wind is.
And there you have the hypocrisy of what's going on this planet at every level. You are quite right, Don, for once.
What?
Quite right about why wouldn't the Indigenous people push back? Why don't the Greens...
I've never heard anybody push back.
No.
And these things... The other thing I thought of, now, are they disposable? What's their length?
No, yes,
what are you
you're
talking
right.
about?
So they're only good for about 15 years above the ground. The foundations
sure?
stay in the ground just about forever.
Okay, now are they a metal or can it be recycled?
No.
Because what?
They're not. They're very expensive alloys that makes them. And do you remember...
So hang on. So you can't recycle these things?
No, do you remember...
So where are they going to put them?
Do you remember the doctor came on here, Dr. Ben Fordham. Dr. Ben Fordham came on...
the psychologist. What would he know about it anyway? He's a psychologist.
He's the number one ratings man in Sydney.
Don,
he knows about lots of things.
Don, when I say, do you remember Dr. Ben Fordham? And I was about to say what he told us on his very high rating show that he does. And you said, what would he know about it? I'm telling
he's a psychologist.
I'm telling you what he knows about it. He uncovered, because he was told the resting place of dead, what are they called? The dead...
dead what?
The dead...
What?
What do you call the
I don't know, these things. That's Jesus on the cross.
Eagle?
No, the dead...
Dead what?
The disused propellers of them. What do you call them? The dead...
I don't know.
Propellers?
What are your things that go round?
Propellers?
They're called turbines.
The cameraman, woman, person.
Don't be you are very patronising and condescending.
The dead turbines that they don't use or have become faulty,
so what do you
they have
think?
stored them. Ben Fordham said he located in the forest a graveyard. forests, a graveyard,
What would
thinking
he be
people thought they were out. If
What
you
would
keep
the
it
doctor be
Don,
doing? What would the
Don,
doctor be doing walking through the forest? You got to ask a few questions here.
Don, I'm going to give you one more chance to shut the fuck up, or I'll turn you off. Dr. Ben.
He might have been bonding with Jody.
Dr. Ben Fordham, he's off. Speak all you like. Dr. Ben Fordham found someone suggested to him and showed him that there was a resting place for dead turbines in a forest. They were trying to smother it away and show that they are disused, and they have found them out in the forest somewhere. And the doctor, I'm turning you on now, Don, just giving you one more chance, and the doctor found these graveyard of dead turbines.
Really?
The doctor.
He's doing tricks. He said, "What are you doing, you stupid man? Could you get any lower in the chair?
Well, I'm comfortable.
Why don't you put your nose on the edge of the table and pretend you're foo?" And so that's exactly right, Don. They are most disgracefully hypocritical people. The Greens only want all the nonsense and the climate change and the electric vehicles. There's a pushback on them now. They're costing a fortune. Did you see Ford in America? It costs them $60,000 an electric vehicle to make. They lose, and the CEO of Ford went for a drive in one of his new electric trucks. It took him 2 hours to get it 40% charged when he had to pull in and wait for everyone else to charge up their vehicles. Fantastic. It is a furphy. It is bullshit, Don. And we have said this for many years on this podcast.
Now, last week I mentioned...
What?
I mentioned last week on the doc, and you all put shit on my thing about how clean Sydney is. And Ian Payton, who played in a premiership with me at Hawthorn, went up there and said how impressed he was with Sydney. Steve Price, in his paper column on the weekend, mentioned the trains, how clean they are in
Maybe
Sydney.
he listens to
so
you, Don.
No, he didn't. He went up and experienced it for himself.
Maybe he got
was
the idea
driving.
from you.
I think he was driving to Sydney.
Was he?
He must have
But
been.
it wasn't an electric vehicle. He wouldn't be there by now if he'd been gone last week. He wouldn't have got there yet. He would have had to wait with about 6 other people for 4 hours to actually give a turn at charging his car up, which takes 6 hours to charge up. He wouldn't be there. Now, Don, so I reckon he might have got that from you because he listens.
Didn't.
Well, he does listen to you, not because he
No,
thinks you're
he
good, because
wouldn't
he
listen.
thinks
He'd
you're
listen
off
to
the
you.
planet. That's why he listens to you. And who was the other person that you said was listening to us because they mentioned something on the radio about it? What was that about? I said, I'll mention because I think they're listening. You said, oh no,
I've got CTE.
Yeah, you have. So the bloke at Smithton, when I was speaking, said, "Has Don got CTE?" I said, "I think that could possibly be why he's so dull."
And you contributed.
What?
You contributed.
So, finally, now we're going to regather because there's many things I want to speak about, particularly the soccer. the girls' soccer,
ladies.
I'm finally giving a shout out. These are the people. Fletch, a man called Fletch. He said to us, "I listen," and the man who wore the
hang on, Fletch. Where did we meet Fletch?
We met Fletch at
Smithton.
No, we didn't meet Fletch at Smithton. We met him somewhere else, but I can't remember where. And a person who lives in my tower where I live called Kirsten.
Kirsten.
What?
Kirsten.
You're going to repeat everything I say.
Yeah, Kirsten.
Yeah, Kirsten, she's got 2 fluffy dogs. Oh. And they came in and I got into the elevator and they sniffed my legs and my fucking agates.
They piss on your legs?
No, they didn't do that. They're well behaved, and so is Kirsten.
I think they're little light poles.
Andrew is a lives in my tower. He's married to a very, very charming Russian lass, I think.
And we're talking to everybody in the tower now.
Well, Andrew said...
Are you on the body corporate?
Andrew said he likes the podcast, and
Andrew, what, married a Russian bride?
I mightn't be Russian, but
how do you?
Because I've seen her and I've met her. She's an extremely attractive lass.
Well, they all are, aren't they, on that website? These women, from Russia, you can get a bride from Ukraine.
He didn't get her off the website, Don. She is an extreme, and he is in the concrete industry, very big in the concrete
I won't
business.
mention I could be buried in concrete.
Yeah.
I'll
Concrete
did he?
shoes.
He drove me back from the boxing, didn't he?
What? No, what?
That's another man from the tower. He was in the concrete or building industry.
And I'll tell you what, I'm just giving a shout out to Annetta.
She in the tower?
We went to I went to the cage fighting.
Who's we?
The cage fighting. We went to the cage.
Who's we?
A whole lot of us went, and this is where I met. I was sitting next to.
Yes, I know. Who was that?
Costello.
Who?
Seb Costello
With his bag.
Well done, Don. I said, is this where Rex punched someone to the ground after they stole your bag? He said, that was a complete lie, do you? I said,
what?
Oh, I said, you never had your bag stolen? He said, never. I said, didn't you think that was real?
I thought it was real. Got him in the toilet.
Yeah, Rex dined out on it. And he said, I never had a bag. I was never he said, that was
Do you think that was Rex's excuse to go to the toilet, the bag?
Sorry again, Don? What do you say then? That was his what?
You heard, we won't do a...
Q-stone, you said? What did you say?
Rex's cue to go to the toilet.
Oh, cue to go. So I'm giving this
is Seb Costello related to... It's an unusual name.
Yeah, he's his son.
Is that? Because there is a surgeon that operated on me called Costello.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
Abbott.
No, Tony.
Yeah, that's right. Well done, Ivan. Yeah, Abbott is his offsider. He's the anaesthetist to your surgeon. There's Costello, and Abbott does the injections that put you to sleep. Abbott and Costello. Who's on first? Have you heard
who's
that?
on second?
What's on second?
No, who is, isn't it?
Now, Seb Costello, he's from 3AW? Seb.
Yep.
Didn't he have a run-in with Ricky
Isn't there
Nixon,
a bit of a rumour about
Ricky
3AW?
Don said, didn't he have a run-in with Wiki Rickson? That'd be Nicky.
Nicky.
Wiki Rickson. Anyhow, so I'm
Go on, I want a coffee.
Hang on, Don, please. And
I need a break.
And I have to say that michaelchristianmenswear.com said, make sure you don't advertise the knits.
Oh, we're coming back to
the collar, because we don't have them.
Well, why doesn't he get some little woman in Asia
to have
to
a
make them?
rerun of the stubby holders with your face? Ivan, we couldn't get your head on it.
Oh, shit, Ivan be shitty.
He's had to have a rerun of making the stubby holders. They have walked out, so to speak. Now, Don, I had a whole lot of things in order to speak about.
We'll come back.
We will come back. So we're going to sign off
break.
now. And
Thank God.
Fucking hell. So I'll just leave you this to ponder on. There is a.
I thought we were signing off.
Well, I want you to think about this. This is
shit.
where this planet is headed. There's a 4-star naval admiral in America called Rachel Levine.
Yes.
She is actually a bloke.
I know that.
Called Richard.
I know
and
that.
And she's pretending she's a woman.
I understand.
And
you.
she looks horrendous, which has got nothing to do with
tell
what I'm
you
on.
where else
She
some
looks horrendous. She is, and she has now. This is. Have a listen to this. She is now. She dresses. She is now advocating, and she wants biological revisionism. She wants the biological, listen to this, Don, the biological revisionism of what to call mothers or mums. She wants them to be called now, I know you think I'm making this up, egg producers. She wants mothers to be called...
they're chooks.
That's right, egg producers.
They're chooks.
This is Richard Levine dressing as a woman, a horrendous-looking transgender person.
Is this still a serving
Yeah, she's hard. Yeah, no, Dopey Joe Biden's got every diverse and equitable and inclusive person ever running that country, and that's why the country's fucked. Wow. And she and listen to this, Don. And she's also advocating. She's always also advocating to promote taxpayer-funded uterus implants for people for biological men who want to pretend they're women.
Bullshit.
Oh, Don, this is why I mention it.
Oh, God.
This is the state.
No, you've got to be making all this up.
This is the country that's run by that dopey man who's retarded, who wants to change the face of that country so that you won't recognise it. It is. You wait till it comes over here. It'll start over here.
Politicians once upon a time were respected people, weren't they, worldwide? Now they're a joke, aren't they?
See what they're doing to the great Trump.
What? Don't say great Trump.
The great Trump.
No.
They are going to make sure he can't run against Joe Biden.
He's got a problem.
They're going to put him in jail, or they're going to.
He's got a problem.
He's got no problems.
He has got a problem. It's called image. Where's he pulling his hair from?
Oh, image.
I reckon he'd use, what do you call that spray can stuff on your hair? What is it? It used to be Gossamer. Remember Gossamer?
Well, see, where's hairspray?
Hairspray. Yeah, he'd be using a
What's that got to do with how you run the country?
Ego.
Yeah, that's right. What's that?
What? His hair. Have you seen his hair? He's got a problem.
He's got a huge ego, Don.
Exactly.
What's that matter how you run a country?
You and he got something in common, ego.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a dirty word.
Everyone's got an ego. Everyone's got an ego.
Yeah, keep it in check.
Or else you're just a pathetic little dribbler like Jared, who wants us cancelled. Now, Don.
It's got nothing to do. Jared's got a huge ego.
I'll tell you what, he stopped stroking himself. He wants us stroking himself. If he wants us cancelled because we have an opinion, that's...
I'm more interested in Jody, and I don't know how the doctor... that's fascinated me. Was he walking through the forest, the doctor, when he saw those... Was he with Jody?
Or the kids?
The kids. Everyone was tracking. They were bonding. And he just happened to come across the wind turbines. I'm just visualising it.
People ring in and say, did you know this, doctor? And the doctor, to his credit, investigates this so that he doesn't miss...
So he incorporates his work with his family life. He bonds. The whole family go walking.
Please, come back here with the camera. Now, this is about as far... This is what happens. People ask me... that man is, he is, that boy there, Scott, is, this is, I don't even know what to say.
Come on, coffee time.
People say, how do you do this? How do I do this?